I think we can all agree that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a very good game. It's currently competing for Game of the Year after all. I picked this game up the minute it released. It was my most anticipated game of 2023. The game received reviews on par with its predecessor, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and that game is regarded as one of the greatest games of all time. So Tears of the Kingdom must be more of the same, right? The answer is yes. That is exactly what the game was. The problem is it wasn't much more than that. Now maybe that's unfair because this game is super impressive at the end of the day. The fact that a game this huge runs on the Nintendo Switch is mind-blowing. So when we're speaking objectively, Tears of the Kingdom has a lot of brand new things to offer. It's not just a carbon copy of Breath of the Wild. The new abilities like Ultra Hand are fantastic improvements. The Sky Islands are a really cool idea, and the depths are another huge area to explore. But I'm gonna be honest, I didn't enjoy this game nearly as much as I enjoyed Breath of the Wild. And that's not to say the game isn't good. I just didn't have a mind-blowing experience compared to Breath of the Wild. In fact, the whole game just felt like Breath of the Wild again. It's just that in my opinion, most of the new features this game adds are interesting and creative, but not necessarily fun at the end of the day. So after I beat the game in late May, I praised it. And then I stopped playing. And not only did I stop playing, but I haven't played the game for more than 30 minutes straight since then. The game just doesn't give me a reason to go back. That's not to say it doesn't have enough content, it for sure does. It's just that I don't care about the majority of the side adventures, and there's no way I'm willingly finding all the Koroks either. I just stuck to the content that actually interested me, which was beating the main game and completing all 152 shrines. The rest of the side content I simply do not care about, but Breath of the Wild was a different story for me. I finished the sword trials, I beat master mode, I even found a good bit of the Korok seeds, but it's because I was more compelled to do these things because it was new. Tears of the Kingdom side content does not feel new to me, so I have absolutely no desire to go back and do any of it. That's the problem. Most of the new content in Tears of the Kingdom either feels the same or feels unfinished. What do I mean by unfinished? Look at the Sky Islands and the depths, for example. The Sky Islands were really cool at first, but I'm sure you've heard people complain about how they're repetitive by now. They're legitimately copied and pasted, which is about the worst thing you can do in an open world game. Not only are these Sky Islands repetitive, but there's not even that many of them. The game's box art makes you believe you'll be spending half of your playthrough up here, but it ended up just being a little half-assed in my opinion. And don't even get me started on the depths. For some reason I subjected myself to finding all 120 light roots in the depths, which is a fancy way of saying I explored the entire place. And if I'm being completely honest, I wish I didn't waste my time doing this. This place is so boring. It's just emptiness on top of emptiness. Sure, there's a couple things you do down here during the main story, but I swear, this place just feels so empty and soulless. I never want to go down here again. Now, I will say, as harsh as I might sound, I did still have some fun with these areas. I just think they aren't as fun to explore as they should have been. There's still some fun to be had here. With the addition of these areas, Tears of the Kingdom's map is a big step up from the previous game. However, I just don't think I was rewarded enough for exploring it, especially the depths. Here's another reason why I stopped playing Tears of the Kingdom: the game's performance. Now keep in mind, resolution and frame rate are very important to me when it comes to modern video games. I usually want a game to be at least a low-end HD and have a consistent frame rate, usually 60 frames, but depending on what type of game it is, 30 frames per second is just fine. As for Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, these games are 30 frames per second, which would be fine, but there are some pretty bad frame drop moments in these games. However, in my experience with both games, Tears of the Kingdom's frame rate issues are probably worse. This game dips frames almost constantly. Now again, I still think it's a great game because performance isn't the most important thing, but it really did get in the way of my enjoyment at times. And I've seen people online say that they never have frame rate issues, which if you're not as sensitive to frame drops as somebody like me, that's perfectly fine, but this game does have FPS issues and it should not be ignored. Anyway, I'm gonna try not to rant about this for too much longer. Basically, in summary, consistent frame rate is really important to me, and I was a little bit annoyed with how Tears of the Kingdom's performance ended up being. But let's just move on to the biggest reason that I stopped playing this game. The main reason being that I've just been playing a lot of other games this year, and Tears of the Kingdom hasn't given me a reason to play it over some of my other games. After playing Tears of the Kingdom, I moved on to Undertale, which I loved, and thus was compelled to 100% the game. Then I played through God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok. Again, two games that I absolutely loved, and so I 100%ed them. Then we get to Super Mario Bros. Wonder, my favorite game of 2023. I 100%ed it in less than a week. And finally, this week I've been replaying my favorite video game of all time, Red Dead Redemption. Every time I replay this game, I end up loving it more than last time. In fact, I recently came to the conclusion that this game is objectively just as good, if not better, than Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, because I can't think of a whole lot of things those open world games do better than this one. And this isn't even relevant to the video at all, so I don't know why I'm bringing this up. Although now that I think about it, Breath of the Wild has way better exploration, which is extremely valuable to the open world experience. And at the end of the day, these are just my opinions and shouldn't be taken too seriously. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I enjoyed Tears of the Kingdom, but not nearly as much as these games that I also played through this year, and thus, I simply had no desire to go back to the game. So this video isn't really a serious critique of Tears of the Kingdom because I've already made a video like that in the past. This video is just about why I no longer want to play the game at this point in time. I tend to be really harsh on this game, but the truth is, I really did have fun playing it. I still got a ton of hours out of it after all. My favorite part of the game was definitely the shrines. They're even better than they were in Breath of the Wild. The game is also very creative with its mechanics. Even if I don't enjoy all of them, I can still appreciate them. I still think this game made a lot of missteps, but I'm never gonna sit there and say that I didn't like it. I just don't think it was the massive improvement upon Breath of the Wild like everyone has been saying. Now, before I end this video, I want to make something clear. On this channel, I will never lie about my thoughts on a game in order to appease a certain group of people. That's just not who I am. No matter what game I'm talking about, I'm being 100% genuine with myself when talking about it. If I dislike a certain feature in a game like Hollow Knight, I will call it out without hesitation. If I dislike something about Super Mario Bros. Wonder, like how it basically has no bosses, I'll voice my thoughts. And if I was slightly disappointed by Tears of the Kingdom, I will say so without thinking twice. So that's about it. Tears of the Kingdom was a great game, but I stopped playing it soon after I beat it. Now, I still ended up having over 150 hours on the game, but I definitely expected to play it a little more than I did. But that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know how you feel about Tears of the Kingdom, and I'll see you again soon.